This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore. I know that it feels like Trump's impeachment is sucking all the oxygen out of the room. It is really, really hard to focus on anything else political at the moment. But believe me, this story will make your skin crawl. If you heard last week that Trump was toying with the idea of digging a moat, or a moot as he called it, misspelling it in a tweet, along our southern border and filling it with gators and snakes, you may have thought that this is as nasty as our government can get. But let's get real. There is one thing that's maybe even nastier than Trump's imaginary mode of evil. You and I and everybody we know can agree that nothing seems more gross or insidious than an IRS audit. We all dread it. It sends a shiver up our spines. It seems complicated and miserable, and I'm sure if it had a smell, it would be like rotten eggs. Nobody wants an IRS audit. But at least we've been led to believe that getting audited is more or less a random thing. In other words, an IRS audit is supposed to be the great equalizer. The poor get audited. The rich get audited. And so do the folks in between. It's supposed to be our shared American pain in the ass. Audits are supposed to close the gap between projected tax revenue and actual dollars that go into the Treasury. That gap exists because people underpay, and so we all know that at one point or another, we may be subject to an audit. But how likely is it to happen to you? On the IRS's official government website, there's an answer to the question, why am I being selected for an audit? And the official answer is twofold. One, random selection and computer screening, and two, related audits, meaning that your return came up in somebody else's. So about that random part, turns out it's not so random after all. Apparently, the IRS has officially admitted to Congress that it prefers to audit the working poor of this nation because auditing the rich is too hard. If you fell out of your chair or dropped your phone in the toilet while hearing that, let me catch you back up. The Commissioner of the United States Internal Revenue Service has put out an official statement finally admitting that IRS much more prefers to audit the poor because it's not as complicated as combing through returns of wealthy Americans. The IRS is lying to Americans about random audits. The IRS actually targets the poor for audits. The hero in breaking this story is an organization called ProPublica, a news outlet which originally put out a journalistic bombshell in April of this year outlining factors that led to one's audit. It made a shocking discovery that the most heavily audited place in the entire United States was a rural Mississippi county, Humphrey County, made up of 75% Black Americans, many of them catfish farmers. It has a third of its citizens living below the poverty line. So why is the IRS continually fishing there for lost tax revenue? Why is this tiny corner of rural Mississippi so heavily targeted by IRS agents? To put it in perspective, Humphrey County, where median family income is $26,000 per year, is audited at a rate 51% higher than America's richest county, Loudoun County, located in Virginia, just outside the Beltway of Washington, D.C. Oh, and how much richer is Loudoun than Humphreys? Well, the median income in Loudoun County is $126,000 per year. So basically, families there make an extra $100,000 every single year. ProPublica further found in its investigation that the IRS was specifically targeting those Americans who were claiming an earned income tax credit on their taxes. EIC, to be blunt, is a poor people's tax credit. It is quite literally intended to help get people out of dire poverty as long as they're working. EIC could be considered as close to bootstraps as it gets in America. Well, by targeting EIC recipients for audits, IRS puts a hold on any available refund, and folks don't get to see that for over a year, adding insult to injury of the audit itself. Well, several congressmen started ringing the bell about this obvious lack of random nature of audits and cited ProPublica's reporting in its official questioning of Charles Reddick, the IRS commissioner. Charles Reddick, the same Charles Reddick who continually denies Congress's legal access to Donald Trump's tax returns. He finally answered. In short, his answer is that the IRS is underfunded because Republicans are consistently gutting its budget and trying to limit its ability to function. So Reddick established a new policy, claiming that the IRS simply can't retain top talent in terms of auditors and forensic accountants. It hires mainly lower-level employees. And because it is easier and more cost-effective for these less experienced IRS agents to audit the poor, the IRS focuses on just that, targeting and harassing the poor. Don't forget, Reddick didn't really mind running an agency handicapped by budget cuts. As a hand-picked conservative head of the IRS, one of whom came from a career of defending the wealthy from government agencies, he seems to have kept his mouth jammed closed about the diminishing ability of the IRS to go after the big fish tax evaders. He simply oversaw a perfectly corrupt reconfiguration of the random algorithm and kept it moving. This is disgusting. Reddick is complicit in a grand Republican scheme to completely gut oversight and regulatory functions of our government when it comes to the rich. The fact that he quietly kept the IRS offices humming while auditing broke catfish farmers in Mississippi is enraging. What's next? Sending IRS agents to rummage through couch cushions in trailer parks or emptying change jars of the homeless? This is a development that needs more attention. Share this story with your friends and your family so they can see the further rift of inequality in this country. 2020 is but a few short months away. We can stop this. We can change this. We need to run an audit on this Republican administration. That is exactly what 2020 can be for us, an audit of our own.